Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro featuring Matt Ohayon. That's me. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. The Energy Transportation Group is a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. You haven't really played poker until you've played at Playground. Voted the fan choice best poker room at the 2025 Global Poker Awards. Enjoy free drinks at every table, free food at all cash games, and daily tournaments, plus the biggest events in the game like the World Poker Tour and WSOP Circuit. And don't miss your shot at the world record Bad Beat Jackpot, now closing in on over $1 million. Just minutes away from downtown Montreal, across the Mercier Bridge. This is Playground. We're also brought to you by, of course, Bittt Tibi beer. Bittt Tibi has launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for those cool fall days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, and 4% alcohol per can. Available in packs of 6 and 12 in grocery stores and dépanneurs across the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. And finally, by Betway, go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is available only for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. Well, every week we inch closer and closer to the NHL season. The Habs are on the ice every single day, it seems, which is great to see because hopefully that means they'll be locked in for the start of training camp and for preseason. We should see some good battles for some spots on the team. So let's talk about it and some other stuff too. He's my usual guest. He is Stu Cowan. Stu, how we doing?
Doing well. Actually stopped by the Brossard practice rink there on Tuesday morning, and almost the whole team was on the ice with Adam Nicholas. And it was interesting to see David Savard was on the ice also. In a tracksuit, helping out with some of the drills. I know he has said he'd like to stay with the team in some kind of a player development or coaching role. So to see him on the ice wearing a tracksuit, and that makes me leads me to believe that might be a possibility before this season starts.
I was going to say, it's funny because a lot of people, they like to have a little bit of a break before they get back into the business. Like for example, myself, I left the radio station 3 weeks before Tony did. Tony leaves the station. 2 months later, I get a call from Tony saying, hey, I know you wanted a little bit of a break from the media world, but I got this opportunity for you. And then here we are. So all the breaks, they don't happen as planned.
No, one guy who hasn't had a break this summer is Adam Nicholas. I wrote a column this week.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on the ice in Brossard more than anybody, with the exception maybe of Ivan Demidov, who's been skating twice a day. But he's been on the ice almost every time with Adam Nicholas also. And so many guys in town a couple of weeks before the start of training camp. And on Tuesday, while there was about 16 guys, 18 guys skating, Canadiens guys skating on one rink, on the second rink, there was more than a dozen Laval Rocket guys skating. So Rocket players are excited, Canadiens players are excited, fans are excited going into this season. And I don't remember seeing that many guys in Brossard that early. And I ran into Chantal Maccabee Tuesday, and she was saying when she showed up there like 7:30 in the morning, the guys were already there having breakfast, getting ready for the practice. So it's a group of guys just like being together. They enjoy being together on and off the ice. And I think that's a big reason why they had the success they had last season and why people are so optimistic going into this season.
Well, I'm curious as to how this really comes together because obviously times are different and players come into training camp in shape, but we've really never seen players been on the ice all season or all off season in Montreal like this. I wonder how this comes together. Does Ivan Demidov call up Adam Nicholas and say, "Hey, I'm hitting the ice. You want to teach me a couple things?"
Yeah, well, I mean, the ice is booked in Broadside for other things. So, no, they've been on the ice mostly at 11 o'clock in the morning and sometimes in the afternoon also. But Adam Nicholas is around. And not only the guys on the ice. I mean, Yuri Slavkovsky did an interview with Anthony Martineau of TBS Sports from when he was back home in Slovakia. And he said that, Nicholas was sending him videos of what he should be working on during the summer. So Adam Nicholas is one of the key guys in this rebuild. When Jeff Gorton took over, he said one of the things he really wanted to focus on was player development, and hiring Adam Nicholas was a big step towards doing that.
Well, he's as we've talked about him, many times throughout the summer, he is really what seems to be a secret weapon for the development of the Canadiens. A lot of credit has to go his way for the way that some of their players are developing and just working on their skills throughout the season, throughout the summer, because he is a big part of it.
Yeah, and he loves his job, as I mentioned, I think, before on previous podcasts with you, and his enthusiasm and his excitement being on the ice rubs off on the players. I mean, the guys were on the ice for an hour Tuesday, and they were going pretty good clip, but they were having fun, and Adam Nicholas is a part of that. So
let's talk about another player, because I love this story. I thought this was great. This is one from you a couple days ago. That a huge trash talker on the team is not someone you would expect. And the reason for that being, it's Jakub Dobish. Spoiler alert for our viewers and listeners. The reason why you wouldn't expect that is because goaltenders traditionally are usually a little bit more reserved and kind of, I don't want to call them outcasts, but we'll call them, they're weirdos.
Mm-hmm. A different mentality to stand in front of a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot.
Exactly. You got to be a little bit sick in the head to do that. So tell us a little bit about that, because I got a huge kick out of that story.
Yeah, that story sort of came out when I was on vacation, and it was Alex Newhook's golf tournament at the end of July, I believe it was, in Newfoundland, and they had a sort of round table thing with a few of the players who were there, and David Amber of Sportsnet was the interviewer, and Dobish was talking about how nervous he was before getting into his first playoff game 3 against the Capitals when Sam Montembeault got hurt, and Arbor Jackeyes spoke up and said, "Well, tell them why," and it was because he had been chirping the Capitals from sitting on the bench as the backup to Montembeault for the first 2 period and a half. He'd been chirping them pretty good the whole game. So when he did get into the game, the Capitals were running at him. And then after the second period, the Capitals were waiting for him by the bench to skate by to go off the ice to have a few words with him. And that's when Arbor first jumped in. And then it ended up with Tom Wilson and Josh Anderson fighting in the Capitals bench. So, yeah, it was pretty funny. And I spoke with Pete Fry, who's Jakub Dobish's mental coach for goaltending. He coaches a lot of goaltenders in the mental side of the game. And he hadn't heard the story at first when I told him about it, but he said he wasn't that surprised because he said Dobish is such a competitive guy, and to be on the bench and fired up like with the playoff atmosphere at the Bell Center, he says the guy will do anything for his teammates. And maybe somebody said something to one of his teammates. He was responding. He wasn't sure of all the details, but it was a pretty funny story, and it was funny the way it came about. And as Arbor said, when Montembeault got hurt and Dobish had to go in, it was like, uh-oh. Yeah, so and it just shows. But again, it shows. And the other thing that Pete Fry told me, he says that the fact that Dobish is such a good guy and liked by his teammates is why guys want to come to his defense. Like he said, he'll do anything for his teammates, and his teammates in response will defend him. So it was a sort of a pretty funny story finding out how that brawl between Wilson and Josh Anderson ended up in the bench, and it was Jakub Dobish's fault.
It's hilarious because, again, you just expect the goaltender to be quiet, reserved, and
especially him, because he is. I mean, I spoke with Pete Fry after Dobish had a shutout in his first game, and he talked about concentration calories. And Dobish mentioned that after his first game when he shut out the Panthers, is my mental coach keeps talking about concentration calories, and it's about keeping your focus on one thing. That's why Fry doesn't even like his goalies going to the bench during TV timeouts, because he thinks it's a distraction. They need that time just to settle down, focus, and get their mind set to make the next save. So that's what made it even more funny when I found out that he was the guy trash talking on the bench. I wouldn't have expected it from Dobish, but he said he was quiet in Game 4. And Pete Fry is still working with him this summer and said, we'll need to work on him, maybe channeling a bit of that energy and enthusiasm to other things. As he said, when you put it out there, trash talking, it's going to come back at you. And it did. It did in the Capitals series.
Oh, well, especially, as a goaltender, that's probably, we talk about how superstitious hockey players are, athletes really as a whole, but hockey players specifically. You talk a lot of trash as a hockey player. It's like, especially as a goaltender, you're the easiest target. You let in one goal, and I could only imagine how you could spiral from there because you talked a lot of trash, you let in a goal, the other team gives it right back to you, and you just got to eat it. What could you say? You let in the goal. That's it.
With Dobish, he never expected to play in that series, right? Montembeault was going to play that series unless he got hurt, which he did, or he really, really struggled. So all of a sudden, he get thrown into a game. He had no anticipation of getting thrown in after chirping these guys the whole game. It's just a funny story.
But you know what? I like a nuance that, because it's funny that Arbor Jacko, I kind of pulled it out of him of why were you so nervous? And everyone's probably expecting, he's a rookie. And the bright lights of Montreal, playoffs at the Bell Center. No, not at all. It's because he was talking trash to the team, and he was like, "Damn, now they're gonna take runs at me."
Yeah, and the Canadiens won that game. I mean, they came in and Dobish played well and won that game. And the column wrote, I mean, he's a big reason why the Canadiens made the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Caden Primo was struggling so badly that they couldn't. I can't remember how many games it was in a row. Montembeault started, it was like 10 in a row or something. They were afraid to put Primo in the net, and then it was just after Christmas when they decided to send Primo down to Laval and call up Dobish, and he got a shutout in his first game, and he played really well after that. So going into the season, the Canadiens, the question about the backup goalie situation has been answered. I mean, Jacob Fowler, I'm sure, is going to play in Laval. They're going to want him to have a full season in the AHL. But Dobish proved last season that he can give his team a chance to win when he's in there. And that's the main thing you want for your backup goalie. You're not expecting him to steal games, although he did sort of in that game, his debut against Florida. You just want him to give the team a chance to win. And Dobish has shown that he can do that. And mentally, I mean, on the bench chirping and whatever, it's he's in the game, right? You got to like it. He's into the game. He's not just sitting there, with his ball cap on, falling asleep. He was really involved. And I think the way Jack told the story and the way his other teammates that were there at the golf tournament were sort of laughing, they liked it too. Like they thought it was pretty cool. Oh,
of course, because you're never gonna not like your teammates being involved in the game and go. You can't get more sidelined than a backup goalie in a game. So to be involved in the game, even if he did have to come in, imagine, he's in the NFL, you got a clipboard, whatever, and then you're really not expecting to go in as a backup QB, and it's even less so of a possibility than a backup goaltender. Like you said, you could get shelled, the starter could get shelled or injured, and you're in. So I think it's great that he stayed involved. I think that story was just hilarious. Yeah. But it also
obviously, he got under their skin. He got in their heads a bit too, right? They were waiting for him after the second period.
That's it. They said he's in the game now. Let's take our chance. But to your point of the backup goaltender position being solidified, of course he had his moments where we kind of thought the magic had worn off because I think he won his first 4, 5, 6 games, something like that, and then the magic kind of wore off a little bit. But you see how important a backup goaltender is, especially, today when goaltenders aren't playing 62 games anymore, traditionally speaking. So we saw that a couple of years ago. Right? You remember when it was the year that Max Domi was the leading point getter for the Canadiens, and they missed the playoffs by 1 year. I think Antti Niemi had 4 or 5 wins that season, and it was like, man, you get one more win and you're in the all you had to do was just stand on your head, pull out one more win, and Dobish, listen, I don't think he could I don't think he's ready to, if Montembeault, knock on wood, went down in this season, I don't think he would be all right, we're good, we have Dobish, but he's very capable as a backup at this point in his career, which is an excellent and very important thing for the Canadiens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying the backup situation is solved. I mean, it appears that way. I mean, things can change, right? You got to remember, this is a good kid. Guy 2 years ago, he was playing at Ohio State University, right? But he did play 16 games with the Canadiens. Had a 7-4-3 record, a winning record with a 909 save percentage and a 2.74 goals against average. Those are pretty good numbers, and that's not a huge sample size, but it's a significant sample size. 16 games. You figure the way the goaltending breaks down this season, they'd probably like him to play 25 games, 25, 30 games, somewhere in that range. So that's about half. And as I say, you got Jacob Fowler coming up in Laval now, who's stood on his head at the NCAA level and a really bright prospect for the Canadiens. But I'm sure the Canadiens are going to want him to get that AHL experience. Played a bit at the end of last season there, but moving forward. So they have some depth now at the goaltending position. And for Primo, the difference is Dobish mentally, I think he's much better at handling what comes with a goalie in Montreal. I think with Caden Primo, that was his biggest problem. It wasn't physically or his ability. I think the pressure of playing in Montreal, he couldn't handle it. And now him moving out to Carolina in that trade, it'll be interesting to see how he does there. If he can find himself there as an NHL goalie or a backup goalie without without having 18 reporters waiting at his stall every time he has a bad game and all the pressure and spotlight that comes with playing in Montreal compared to playing in Carolina. So we're going to see. I mean, he was a 7th round draft pick, Primo. He was traded for a 7th draft pick, so there was obviously holes in his game before he came to the NHL. But a good kid, and I'd love to see him do well in Carolina. I think the best thing that could have happened for him and for the Canadiens was for him just to move on and get a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we saw it with Charlie Lindgren, who carved out a nice spot for him in Washington. So why can't Caden Primo? But you also see, speaking of mental fortitude, you saw that. Forget the goaltender himself, but just looking at the rest of the Canadiens when Primo started a game versus when Dobish started a game. They played very differently. You're taking a lot more chances because that he can make the stop. Whereas Primo, for better or worse, they were there was that game where I forget who was against. Maybe it was against Florida. No, it wasn't against Florida.
No, I remember he had like 4 goals over the glove side.
Yeah, and they tried to. The Canadiens were mounting a comeback. I think it was against the Bruins. They were mounting a comeback, and then Primo just let in the softest of soft goals, and that killed the entire comeback attempt. And fans left the building disappointed that night, and the Canadiens, frankly, were disappointed. And Primo knew it too, because that last goal. And a few of the goals that he led in that game just were not something an NHL backup or a starter, anyone at an NHL level should be letting in on a consistent basis.
No, you can see it in his body language too, right? I mean, talking with Pete Fry, the mental goalie coach, I was asking him, where did you see Dobish's biggest improvement last year? He said in his bounce back. He said the game he got pulled, he said the third goal he let in, he lost an edge on his skate and it went in. He says, you can't control that. That's going to happen. He says, to be able to forget about those things. He said a goalie can play almost a perfect game and still give up 2 or 3 goals just because of bad bounces or fluky things happening. But he said the one thing he was really improved on last season was just like, forget about what happened. Forget about the goal you just gave up. Focus on the next save. And I think that was a big problem with Caden Primo in Montreal.
So moving on to another piece of an article that was written on our own Sick Network by Nick Lariviere was I thought this was also it's an interesting battle going into camp, which is for the 6/7th spot on the blue line. So you have a battle pretty much between Arbor Xhekaj and Drayden Struble.
Yep.
But can David Reinbacher insert his name into that battle? I think ideally for the Canadiens, it's one of Struble or Xhekaj, and Reinbacher just gets the entire season in Laval. Sure, he's going to get some games. Injuries are going to happen, and he'll get called up. But they want to give Reinbacher, 25 minutes a night in Laval, power play, penalty kill, first wave, first pairing. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at him because he said it himself straight from the horse's mouth that his knee is back at 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the Canadiens did send him to that NHL rookie showcase thing this week. which shows how much they think about him. I know Pierre LeBrun had a story talking with Ken Hughes at the GM meetings and saying, Reinbacher is going to decide where he plays. But I think now the plan is for him to start in Laval. It was good to hear Reinbacher say his knee's 100% now, because at the end of the season in Laval, when they had their post-mortem, he said that his knee still wasn't 100%. It was still a concern. So I guess over the summer, the reason he wasn't on the ice when I was there Tuesday is because he was at that NHL rookie event. So yeah, the Canadiens see him obviously as a future top 4 defenseman, probably playing with Wayne Hudson. And it is sort of up to him, but I think right now the Canadiens aren't going to rush him. Ken Hughes has said that about Kirby Dach, who's also been on the ice this week again, skating with the Canadiens. They're not going to rush them back. But with Reinbacher, I expect him to start in Laval. And like you said, I expect them to play monster minutes in all situations until they're convinced that his knee is 100%. They're convinced he's ready to play in the NHL. And then that opens up the possibility of trading Mike Matheson, right? Because that's the guy he would probably, whose spot he would probably take if they're going to move him into a top 4 spot. So there's a lot of things that can possibly happen. But the Canadiens, boy, they have depth on defense now, and young depth, which is a big difference from, a few years ago when, they didn't have much. The cupboards were pretty much bare. I mean, remember Victor Mete being the opening night top pairing defenseman with Shea Weber. So those days have changed. The Canadiens have filled the cupboard with prospects, and bringing in Noah Dobson, another right-hand shot, top 4. So they're looking good. That's the other thing Ken Hughes was telling reporters at the coach GM meetings this week, is that one of his toughest things is going to be tempering the expectations of fans. Fans are so excited right now. And as he says, you don't necessarily, it's not automatic you're going to take another step the next season. That's not how the NHL works. And he was saying it's going to be harder this year because teams are going to be gunning for the Canadiens. Like they realize what they did last season. They realize they're not an easy mark. So it's going to be difficult, and I think that tempering of the expectations is going to be a big thing for the Canadiens, because the excitement level, I don't remember, everywhere I go, friends, people I don't know, people recognize talking, oh, wow, you must be so excited about the Canadiens. You must be so excited about the Canadiens. And the excitement, and the fact all these guys are in Brassard already skating highlights that. But I mean, as I've said, this team, if they get decent goaltending and if they can avoid major injuries, I expect this team to make the playoffs this season. But it's a long season and a lot of things can happen.
That's it. And we're going to get to this, but not this coming season, but next season. We'll get even longer. But that's
start earlier. Thank God.
Oh, yeah. Thank God. But listen, end the season May 31st. Or is
it's
it
going to end in June, early June with the new schedule. You're going to start at the end of September. You're going to eliminate some exhibition games, add some regular season games. Canadian season ticket holders will be happy about that because they pay full price for preseason games, right? They don't have a choice when you buy a season ticket. So they'll be happy to have 2 less preseason games and a couple more regular season games as part of the package.
Very funny. Anyways, I can't believe they went to 84 games. It's
money, my friend.
I know, but it's crazy. It's insanity that they did it. And hey, maybe one day we'll get to 100-game season.
We're going to add more teams too. The expansion fee is going to be at least $2 billion for new teams. Pro sports is business before anything else. As much as fans get involved passionately, it's all about money at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah. That's NFL fans learned that the hard way with the announcement of Red Zone, the famous channel that every week starts with 7 hours of commercial-free football. Not anymore. It's 7 hours of Red Zone football.
How about Gary Bettman locking out the players and taking hockey away from fans? Why?
He did it multiple times in his tenure.
And it paid off. The owners love him, right? He got a hard salary cap, and that's why, they're talking $2 billion for an expansion team. Vegas, I think it was $700 million they paid. Something like that for the team, $750. Look at the Canadiens. Jeff Molson paid $575 million. They're worth like $3 billion now. It's pro sports, man. It's a money game.
It's actually interesting. Not to dive into the topic, but I do wonder, if when the next team comes in and they pay that expansion fee, there are expectations, that. Yeah, I paid $2 billion. There's got to be something in it for me. Yeah, you get the team. I'm talking competitively.
Well, that's why they
on the ice.
Look at Vegas, right? That's why they changed it, because it used to be
Yeah.
the NHL's expansion team, and you just get your ass kicked every single night. Look at talk to Rick Green about that, playing with the Washington Capitals. They'll spend the whole game, every game in his own end. But yeah, I mean, the value of pro sports franchises. The Penguins are up for sale again. It looks like they're going to sell. Reports are like $1.75 billion. That's double what they sold for 4 years ago. So buying a pro sports team, if you can afford it, maybe we get together, we'll have enough money.
We'll involve Tony, Sammy, and
yeah.
Even producer Shane will get in the mix, and I think we could run a pretty good team.
Yeah. So it's a great investment. I remember I asked Jeff Molson about this. I might have told you so before. I asked Jeff Molson. I had a one-on-one with him a couple of years ago, and that's when the Senators were up for sale.
Right.
And the price tag kept going up, and I said, why is that? And he said, because it's a limited product. There's only 32 NHL teams, and rich guys want to have sports teams. They do. I mean, if you and I own a company, a $1 billion company that does computers or something like that, our names probably aren't in the paper every day. We're not well known, but when you own a sports team, ask Jerry Jones, right?
Oh yeah.
You become pretty well known, and it also helps your other businesses, what other businesses you might have. I mean, owning the Canadiens, I don't think it's hurt Jeff Molson when it comes to Molson and other companies and Evenko and stuff like that. So it's sports teams. If you can afford them, good time to buy them. And that's why so many billionaires, I was going to say millionaires, but millionaires can't afford hockey teams. Now billionaires are bidding against each other to get these teams. And, the other thing, expansion to the NHL, looks like they're going to go back to Atlanta, which has failed twice already. It's and possibly Arizona again.
I understand the need to, expand in the American market.
Yep.
I get it. I really do. But I mean, to go back to places where it failed. Yeah, the NHL went back to Winnipeg, but I think, we've seen that they're pretty stable there. They might need to get a bigger arena one day, but it's pretty stable there. Whereas, man, to go to Atlanta, I mean, remember the days where they had Ilya Kovalchuk, Kari Lehtinen, and Marian Hossa. Those were at least two bona fide superstars, and just the place was empty every single night.
One of the big concerns is corporate money, right? And talk about Winnipeg. I mean, Winnipeg wasn't selling out a lot of games. It was one of the best teams in the NHL just because the average Joe can't afford tickets.
Right.
To go to a game, right? I mean, the Bell Center, imagine it's a very high percentage of season tickets are owned by companies that can write half of it off, right? So going to a market, that's why I think Quebec, that's one of the reasons why I don't think Quebec will get another team. I just don't know if there's the corporate money there to support, to pay those prices that come along. And I guess with Bettman, and they want the big American TV markets also, right, for the TV contracts. But it'll be interesting to see if from reports, it sounds like Atlanta's on the list again, and it's hard to believe, but that's the way it is.
I'm shocked that Atlanta might be on a list, but it's going to go to Houston before it goes to Atlanta. You'd have to think Houston is the third biggest city in the United States. To not have a hockey team there, I gotta say, fans and a lot of people talk a lot of smack about Gary Bettman, but you got to give the guy credit. He was the first in the 4 major sports to put a sports team in Vegas.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, was that ever the biggest genius move on his part to find an owner that would bring it to Vegas.
Yeah. And there is some hockey history in Houston with the Arrows. If you remember them, Gordie Howe played for them in the WHA. They've had hockey there before. You say it's just a massive market, right? And look at Dallas. Dallas is the success they've had since they got a team. So, Houston's another place that makes sense. It makes more sense to me than in Atlanta or Arizona. Well,
to go back to Arizona would be just insane. I mean, the only logical thing would be that the teams, because there's a salary cap, a hard salary cap, they need a tax loophole again. Is what it is. That's the only reason why they would bring it back. But anyways, let's finish up. With David Reinbacher, just because I think he will get some games in the NHL. It's bound to happen. A player is going to be struggling, an injury happens, or whatever the case may be. But, something that's very encouraging, because I remember a lot of people were very alarmed at the end of the Laval Rocket season when they said that his knee wasn't 100%, and that's why he wasn't playing every game when he came back. However, I will say is that, Stu, you were at some games. I was at some games. He looked, phenomenal. I mean, you saw that this guy is going to be a very solid NHL defenseman, because at that level, you're in a man's league, you're a young kid. To have a very solid and sound game where practically nobody could get by you and you don't make any mistakes, it's quite impressive, especially to step in at the end of a season when all the guys are, in mid-season form / playoff form.
Yeah, and when you talk to Reinbacher, you can tell he's a really, really smart kid, and on and off the ice. He played only 10 regular season games last year. He played 13 games in the playoffs, had 6 points, and Laval went on a pretty good run. So that was a huge experience for him, right? Playing in high competitive games like that after coming back from the knee injury. The Canadiens got a good chance to see what he could do, what he couldn't do. The knee was obviously a concern, as he mentioned at the end of the season. But if his knee's 100%, one thing the Canadiens have shown is that if you're ready to compete for a spot and earn a spot, they'll find a spot for you. I mean, Emil Heineman last year at training camp, right? Joshua Roy was expected to have that spot. Emil Heineman played better than him at training camp, and he earned the spot. So for Reinbacher, but they're not going to want Reinbacher to come here, be on the third pairing, and play 8 minutes a game, right? 10 minutes a game. They're going to want him, if that's the case, they're going to want him to be in Laval playing 25, 26 minutes a game. And also seeing how the knee holds up to that, right? Think back to that hit where he got hurt. It didn't look like much. Similar to the first knee injury that Kirby Dach had. It didn't look like much. So we'll see. But as I said, I think he'll start the season with Laval, unless there's an injury at training camp, or unless he really plays out of his mind and shows that, he's ready to play in the NHL. Yeah,
and then at that point, Martin St. Louis, it would be another good problem for him to have.
Well, and having another right shot defenseman helps also, right? How you move guys around. So that's a key. That's one of the reasons they drafted him. I don't think if he wasn't a right shot defenseman, maybe they don't take Reinbacher with the number 5 pick, right?
Yeah.
And Ken, you spoke about this week too, just about the high value to right shot defenseman. That's why it costs so much to get Noah Dobson with the Canadiens. Right shot, the top 4 defensemen don't come along very often, are not available very often. So now the Canadiens have 2 of them, one that they acquired through a trade and another one that they drafted. And then, Alexandre Carrier, look at what he did last season, right shot when he came in and sort of stabilized the D. So it was Mike Johnson of TSN. I remember him saying, I think it was a year or 2 ago, you have your kids grow up to be left-handed pitchers or right shot defensemen. That's a big demand for them.
It's very funny because I never learned how to skate growing up. But Stu, I am a lefty. And I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of Jewish MLB players. So we have the aptitude for it because typically our parents put us in baseball because there's no contact. I was watching a baseball game a couple weeks ago with my mom, and she goes, "Oh my God, look at this pitcher, Max Fried, nice Jewish kid." And I go, "Yeah, that could have been me. I just had to put a baseball in my hand from when I was 2 years old because I am a lefty." Then I had to explain to her why left-handed pitchers make a lot of money.
Oh yeah. You don't even have to be that good.
Exactly.
Be okay.
You'll bounce around the league, making nice money. It's all right.
Exactly.
Stu, thank you very much. We will chat again next time.
Have a great weekend.
All right. And that was Stu Cowan. And just a quick note before I finish up, producer Shane and Simon Snake Boisvert are starting to kick off a new podcast called The Sick Podcast, Trust the Process. So we all know how obsessed Habs fans are with prospects and draft rankings and all that. Well, there's a dedicated show to it now, and it is with producer Shane and Snake Bub, where it will be twice a week for you. So that's 2 more podcasts for you to add to your weekly listening. For producer Shane, I'm Matt Ohayon. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast. is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.